Good afternoon. I'm Tony Schrader, Chairman of the Putnam County Republican Party. Obviously, we're not in Putnam County right now. In fact, we're in Columbus at our magnificent State Supreme Court building. And we're delighted to be joined by Justice Sharon Kennedy, the 154th Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court. Thank you very much for the time this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's our delight. We're glad to have you here. We want to introduce you to the voters of Putnam County and surrounding counties in Northwest Ohio because you're on the ballot this year. And we'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the interview. But I was hoping you could start out. You have the most fascinating background. Could you tell us some about your story and how you wound up here on the Ohio Supreme Court?
I would love to. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
And thank you to all of you who watch this. I think if you look at my resume, you might think, well, here's a girl who can't keep a job. But in all seriousness, if you look at my resume, what you see is a young lady who fell in love with the law at age 10 and decided to seize her first American dream to serve as a law enforcement officer in the city of Hamilton. And it was really that service that allowed me to see the real world, what it would be like to be a lawyer and a judge. Actually, sometimes I think we set false ceilings in our life. Coming from humble beginnings, I really didn't believe I could be a lawyer or a judge because of socioeconomic situations in life. But the reality was law enforcement was the equalizer. I got to meet my first lawyer and my first judge, and clearly there were some generational, some very wealthy, but there were a lot of lawyers just like me, whose parents grew up poor in the Great Depression. They were the first to go to college in their family, but they saw their pathway and their ability to rise. So I think as you look at my resume, you see that girl. A girl who at age 10, all she longed for was to be a police officer, who law enforcement then showed her the real perspective of the world and what she could achieve. And then I resigned my commission and went to law school, clerked for a judge during that time. So I was working in the courthouse every day in the general division, watching trials, watching lawyers. I knew what I wanted to do. So when I graduated law school, I had that ability to hang out a shingle in Butler County. And I would be what you would call a small town lawyer. Mm-hmm. So I did a variety of things, whether that was juvenile work, criminal work, probate, domestic relations, served as a magistrate later in my service as a lawyer for the area courts doing the civil docket, so evictions and small claims, mm-hmm. small civil litigation under a certain threshold set by the General Assembly. It caused me to engage in then looking at what it would be like to run for the trial court, mm-hmm. which was always after I left that service as a law clerk working for a judge. I loved being in the courtroom every day. Had a great opportunity to run for a judgeship in 1998, was very successful, and then I stayed at the bench for 14 years at the trial court in Butler County until rising to the Supreme Court in 2012.
That's phenomenal. And actually, that's a long period of time in the trial court for a Supreme Court justice, I think, isn't it? So
it is.
That's great. That's
the last trial court judge that I think who came from a trial court and then went to the Supreme Court was Eve Stratton, and she had been here in Franklin County for 10 years. Wow. So I was there for 14 years. But it gives you that perspective, that broad flavor of law.
Right.
And what's really great about here, it was like coming home,
mm-hmm.
because you do touch a wide variety of cases. So I will read probate cases, juvenile cases, mm-hmm. criminal court cases, sure. domestic relations cases, but you also get to learn again because then you're entering into case types you'd never see, but for the fact you made it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
phenomenal. It's a very rich background, and I think not only made you perfectly suited for the court, but just in dealing with you personally, how personable you are, it had to have been a very important part of your judicial career as well. Good judges understand and are empathetic and live normal lives like the rest of us, I think, in a lot of ways. And
I go to Kroger's by myself and
exactly.
buy my groceries, yes.
Right, exactly.